Billionaire visits the cemetery and sees a cleaner with a boy crying at her son's grave. Jennifer Blackwell felt the weight of every step as she walked along the stone paths of Oak Hill Cemetery in Chicago. 10 years had passed since she lost her only son, and that date always brought a pain no amount of money could ease. But that day, as she approached the white marble tomb where Ethan rested, she stopped abruptly. A woman in a blue uniform knelt beside the headstone, hugging a brown-haired boy who was sobbing uncontrollably. "What are you doing here?" Jennifer asked, her voice firm but trembling. The woman looked up, startled. She was a simple woman, with wrinkles that spoke of years of hard work and calloused hands. The boy kept crying, clutching a colorful drawing tightly. "I'm sorry, Mom. I'm Grace. I work here at the cemetery. This is my son, Tommy," the cleaner said, trying to stand. He always comes here." "Always comes here?" Jennifer repeated, disbelieving. "Why?" Tommy lifted his tear-streaked face and looked straight at the elegant woman in the black coat and hat. "Because Ethan was my best friend," the boy said, with the sincerity only children possess. Jennifer felt as if the ground had shifted beneath her feet. How did this boy know her son's name? "That's impossible. My son, he passed away 10 years ago." "You weren't even born yet," she murmured, trying to understand. "I was born the same year he left, ma'am," Grace explained, helping her son up. "But Tommy always knew about Ethan. I took care of him at the hospital." The cleaner's words echoed in Jennifer's mind like a distant whisper. "Hospital," Grace had said. "Hospital." "Did you work at Mercy Medical Center?" Jennifer asked, stepping closer. "Yes, ma'am. I was a nursing assistant in the pediatric ward. I worked there for 5 years until..." Grace hesitated. "Until when?" "Until I was fired, ma'am." Jennifer looked at the drawing the boy still held. It was a child's sketch made with crayons, showing 2 boys playing in a garden. One of them had a golden crown drawn on his head. "Can I see that drawing?" Jennifer asked, reaching out. Tommy glanced at his mother, who nodded. Carefully, he handed the paper to the elegant woman. "I make a new drawing for him every month," the boy explained. "Mom tells me stories about him, about how brave and smart he was." Jennifer studied the drawing closely. In the bottom right corner, there was a child's signature. "For Ethan, with love, Tommy." "I don't understand," Jennifer said, returning the drawing. "How could you know stories about my son if you were just a hospital worker?" Grace took a deep breath before answering. "Because I spent nights with him, ma'am. When the shifts were long and you couldn't stay, I did. Ethan was a special boy. He told me about his company, about how important you were, about the dreams he had. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. What kind of dreams?" Jennifer asked, her chest tightening. "He dreamed of having a little brother to play with. He said when he got better, the 2 of you would travel the world together, and that one day he'd work with you, helping others the way the doctors helped him." Every word from Grace felt like an arrow straight to Jennifer's heart. Her son had shared dreams with a stranger she barely knew. "Why did you never come to me before? Why am I only hearing about this now?" "Because you always seemed so busy, so far away," Grace said carefully. "And after I was fired, I thought I wouldn't be welcome." "Why were you fired?" Grace exchanged a glance with her son before answering. "Because I questioned some procedures. I thought Ethan could have had less aggressive treatment, more compassionate care. But no one wanted to listen to me." Jennifer felt a wave of anger rising. "How dare you question the doctors? They were the best specialists in the country." "Because I saw his suffering every day, ma'am," Grace replied firmly. "I saw when he cried in pain in the middle of the night. I saw when he asked for his mother and she wasn't there." The words cut Jennifer like a blade. She remembered the countless business meetings, the international trips, the work dinners she considered essential to maintain the corporate empire she had built. "I was working for him. Everything I did was for him," Jennifer said, trying to defend herself. "I know that, ma'am. Ethan knew it too. He talked about it all the time. He said his mother was like a superhero, saving companies and helping people, Grace said softly. Tommy, who had stayed quiet, moved closer to Jennifer. Are you really Ethan's mom? The boy asked. I am, Jennifer replied, kneeling to be at his eye level. He talked about you a lot. He said when he got better, he'd teach you how to make kites and play video games. Jennifer felt her eyes fill with tears. Ethan loved kites. She had promised to teach him how to make one, but she always postponed it for when she had more time. You really knew my son? We did, ma'am, Grace confirmed. I was pregnant with Tommy when I took care of him. I always told Ethan about the baby on the way. He'd get excited, saying it would be like a little brother. Ethan, he knew you were pregnant? He did. He even picked the name. He suggested Thomas because he said it was a strong name, like a fisherman. He loved stories about the sea. Jennifer remembered the times Ethan asked to hear stories about pirates and fishermen. She always delegated that task to the nannies. Where did you talk? Jennifer asked. In his room during the early hours, sometimes in the hospital garden when the weather was nice. He loved being outdoors, Grace explained. I'd bring a wheelchair and we'd sit there telling stories. What kind of stories? He made up adventures where the two of you were the main characters, the powerful queen and the brave prince, fighting dragons and saving kingdoms. Jennifer closed her eyes, trying to control her emotions. How had she missed so many precious moments? Grace, Jennifer said after a pause. Where do you live now? In the Bridgeport neighborhood, ma'am, in a small rented house. How do you manage? I clean offices overnight. Tommy stays with a neighbor. During the day, I work here at Oak Hill Cemetery. 2 jobs. Yes, ma'am. After I was fired from the hospital, it was hard to find another job in healthcare. I need to keep Tommy in school. Jennifer looked at the boy who was watching everything intently. He wore simple but clean and well-kept clothes. His sneakers were worn, but the laces were tied neatly. Tommy, do you like school? Jennifer asked. Yes, ma'am. I want to be a doctor when I grow up, like the ones who took care of Ethan. Why a doctor? Because Mom told me doctors help people get better, and I want to help other kids like Ethan. Jennifer's chest tightened again. This simple boy had the same generosity she remembered in her son. Grace, you said Ethan talked about me. What exactly did he say? Many things, Mom. He used to say you were the smartest woman in the world, that you could solve any problem. But he also said you seemed sad sometimes. Sad? Yes. He noticed when you'd arrived tired from meetings. Said he wanted to grow up fast so he could help you not worry so much. Jennifer remembered how exhausted she'd be when she got to the hospital, often only able to stay a few minutes before rushing off to another commitment. Did he understand I had to work? He did, ma'am, but he dreamed of the day you'd have time to be together without hurry. Grace, can I ask you something personal? Of course, ma'am. Why did you keep coming here after Ethan passed? Grace looked at her son, who was picking up fallen twigs near the grave. Because I promised him I'd take care of everything he loved, and he loved this place because he knew his mother would visit him here. He said that? He did. In his last days, he made me promise that if I ever found you here, I'd tell you all the stories we shared. Jennifer stepped closer to the marble headstone. The name Ethan Blackwell was engraved in gold letters, along with the phrase she'd chosen, our little prince. Grace, there's one thing I don't understand. If you cared for him overnight, why did I never see you? Because I always left before you arrived in the morning. The hospital had rules about staff getting too close to patients' families. What kind of rules? We weren't allowed to form strong bonds. It was about maintaining professionalism. But you formed one with Ethan. I did. It was impossible not to. He was a very special boy, ma'am. Tommy approached again, holding something in his hand. Miss, do you want to see what I brought for Ethan? Jennifer looked at what the boy held out. A small toy car, red and worn from use. Is this car yours? It was, but I want to give it to him. Mommy said he liked cars. Jennifer took the toy. It was simple, probably cost next to nothing, but clean and well kept. Tommy, are you sure this is a really nice toy? I'm sure. My friend deserves it. Jennifer felt a deep emotion at the boy's generosity. Ethan had owned so many expensive toys, yet here was a child with little offering his most precious thing. "Grace, can I ask you a hard question?" "You may, ma'am." "Do you think I was a good mother?" Grace hesitated. The question carried pain, and Jennifer deserved honesty. "You loved your son. I could see it in his eyes when he spoke of you. But actually, Mum, I think you both lost many moments that can't be reclaimed. And now, how do I make up for that?" "I'm not sure you can, ma'am, but perhaps you can honor his memory somehow." Jennifer looked around. Oak Hill Cemetery was quiet, only birdsong in the trees. A place of peace, so unlike the fast-paced world she lived in. "Grace, you mentioned questioning hospital procedures. What exactly did you suggest?" "I felt treatments could be less invasive, that emotional care mattered as much as medical care, that children needed more tenderness, more personalized attention." "And what happened when you suggested that?" "They said I overstepped, that entry-level staff shouldn't comment on medical protocols." Jennifer felt a stab of outrage. As a business leader, she knew the value of listening to all team levels. "Who decided to fire you?" "Hospital administration. They said I was stirring unnecessary trouble." "Did you try to defend yourself?" "I tried, but I couldn't. I was just a nursing assistant. My word carried no weight against the doctors and administrators." Jennifer began to sense there was more to this story than Grace was telling. "Grace, do you think your dismissal had anything to do with you specifically caring for Ethan?" "I don't know, ma'am. I never thought about that. But did you notice anything different in how they treated you after you started caring for him?" Grace thought for a moment. "Well, some co-workers mentioned I was getting a lot of attention from supervision, but I thought it was just a coincidence." "What kind of attention?" "They started scrutinizing my work more, questioning my methods, calling me into meetings about professional suitability." Jennifer was starting to piece things together. It was possible the hospital had removed Grace precisely to prevent her from forming a close relationship with the Blackwell family. "Grace, do you remember who made the final decision about your dismissal?" "Dr. Richard Thompson. He was the administrative director at the time." Jennifer knew Richard. They'd had several meetings about the donations she made to the hospital. He always showed extreme deference to the Blackwell family. "How long before Ethan passed were you let go?" 2 weeks, ma'am." 2 weeks? Jennifer was shocked. "That means Ethan spent his last weeks without you?" "Yes, ma'am. I tried to visit him, but they wouldn't let me into the hospital." "Grace, did you try reaching out to me at that time?" "I did. I called your office several times, but they always said you were in meetings or traveling." Jennifer remembered those final 2 weeks. She had indeed traveled to New York to close an important deal. She had believed Ethan was being well cared for by the medical team. What happened in those 2 weeks? Did Ethan ask for you? "Tommy was with me when I tried to visit. We stood outside the hospital, looking up at his window. Ethan saw us and waved. Did you get to speak to him?" "No, Mom. Security made us leave." Jennifer felt anger rising inside her. It was possible the protection she thought she was giving her son had actually isolated him from people who truly cared. "Grace, after Ethan passed, did you try contacting me again?" "Yes, ma'am. But they said you didn't want to be disturbed, that you were in mourning and weren't receiving visitors." "Who told you that?" "Your office secretary." Jennifer remembered those first months after the loss. She had completely withdrawn, letting her secretary screen all communications. It was possible many important people had tried reaching her without success. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing. "Grace, all this time, did you keep trying to see me?" "Not every day, but whenever I came to the cemetery with Tommy, I hoped I'd find you." "And why today specifically?" "Because today marks exactly 10 years. I thought if I was ever going to find you, it would be today." Jennifer looked at Tommy, who was sitting on the ground near the headstone, arranging small stones in rows. "Tommy, do you come here every month?" "I do, Auntie. Every 15th. "Why the 15th?" "Because that's the day I was born. And Mama said it's the same day Ethan became a star. Jennifer felt a chill. Ethan had passed on March 15th, and here was a boy born on that very day, keeping her son's memory alive. Grace, was Tommy born exactly on March 15th? Yes, ma'am. He was born at the same hospital where Ethan was, just a few hours after her son passed away. Just a few hours later. Yes. I was on shift when I got the news about Ethan. The contractions started right after. It was like the baby knew it was time to come. Jennifer had to lean against the headstone. The coincidence was too striking to be just a coincidence. Do you believe there's some meaning in that? I don't know, ma'am. But I've always felt Tommy had a special connection to Ethan's memory. What kind of connection? Ever since he was little, he's been interested in hospitals, doctors, helping sick people. And when I started telling him stories about Ethan, he'd get fascinated. Do you tell Tommy many stories about my son? I do. I think it's important for him to know about the friendship they could have had. Friendship they could have had? Yes. I always imagined that if things had been different, Ethan and Tommy could have been real friends, brothers even. Jennifer looked at the two of them, Grace in her simple uniform and tired face, but with eyes full of kindness. Tommy in his modest but impeccably kept clothes, playing with pebbles as if it were the most natural place in the world. Grace, may I ask about Tommy's father? There's not much to say, ma'am. He left when he found out I was pregnant, said he wasn't ready to be a father. You've raised Tommy alone since then? Yes, ma'am, with some help from neighbors and the church in the Bridgeport neighborhood, but mostly alone. And does he know about his father? He knows his father isn't around, but he doesn't hold a grudge. Tommy's a very positive child. Jennifer admired that woman's strength. Raising a child alone with limited means, yet still holding on to hope and dignity. Grace, you said you clean offices. What hours do you work? From 11 at night to 5 in the morning. That's when the office buildings are empty. And where does Tommy stay? With Mrs. Jenkins, our neighbor. She's a widow and enjoys the company, but it's getting harder because she's getting older. What if one day Mrs. Jenkins can't help anymore? I don't know, ma'am, that's my biggest worry. I can't take Tommy to work and I can't afford a babysitter. Jennifer was starting to understand the real struggles Grace faced. It was a fragile balance that could collapse any moment. Grace, have you ever thought about going back to healthcare work? I think about it all the time, ma'am. But after being let go from the hospital, it's hard to get references, and other hospitals always ask why I left Mercy Medical Center. What do you tell them? The truth. That I questioned some procedures and it wasn't well received. Does that hurt your chances? A lot. In healthcare, questions are seen as insubordination. Jennifer was beginning to see how the system had failed Grace. A dedicated professional had been punished for caring too much. Grace, do you miss working with patients? I miss it terribly, ma'am. It was what I loved most, seeing people get better, especially the children. And do you think you'd still be good at that work? I think I'd be even better. Experience has taught me so much about empathy and care. Tommy came back over, this time holding a small notebook. Auntie, do you want to see the drawings I made for Ethan? Jennifer took the notebook. The pages were filled with colorful drawings, each signed to Ethan with love, Tommy. The first drawing showed 2 boys flying kites. The second, 2 boys playing soccer. The third, 2 boys reading a book together. Tommy, do you always draw the 2 of you together? I do. Mama says even if he's not here, we can still be friends through the drawings. And do you believe that? I do, yes. Sometimes I dream about him. We play a lot in my dreams. Jennifer kept flipping through the notebook. There were drawings of hospitals with smiling doctors, drawings of children playing in gardens, drawings of a woman wearing a crown, clearly representing her, hugging a child. Is this me? She asked, pointing to the drawing of the crowned woman. Yes. Ethan always said his mother was like a queen. And why am I hugging a child in the drawing? Because in my dreams, Auntie comes to visit and gives everyone hugs. Jennifer felt her eyes well up. That boy had created an idealized version of her, a version that offered the affection she might not have known how to give. Tommy, would you like to hear some true stories about Ethan? I'd love to, Auntie. Grace, would you mind if I shared some things about my son? Of course not, Ma'am, we'd be honored. Jennifer sat on the floor, something she hadn't done in years. Tommy moved closer, curious. Ethan loved doing cooking experiments. He'd come up with crazy recipes in the kitchen and make me taste them. Were they good? Tommy asked, interested. Some were awful, Jennifer laughed, remembering. Once he mixed chocolate with ketchup and said he'd invented the sauce of the future. Tommy laughed too, picturing it. Did he like cooking? He loved it. Said when he grew up he'd open a restaurant where they only served food that made people happy. And you tasted all his food? I did. It was impossible to say no to that smile. Grace smiled, watching Jennifer relax for the first time since she'd arrived. Ethan used to talk about those cooking experiments at the hospital, said he'd teach the recipes to the other patients when everyone got better. He had that hope? That everyone would get better? He did, Mum. Ethan always talked about the future like it was a sure thing. Said he'd be a doctor, that he'd help you with the company, that he'd travel the world. Grace, do you think I destroyed those dreams of his? No, Ma'am. I think you were part of those dreams. He dreamed of making you proud. And how can I do that now that he's gone? Maybe by honoring what he believed in. He believed in helping people, in caring for others, in doing good. Jennifer looked at Tommy, who was drawing something new on a sheet of paper he'd pulled from his backpack. What are you drawing now, Tommy? I'm drawing you, Ethan, and Mommy, all together. All together where? In a new hospital where kids are happy and doctors smile. Jennifer took the drawing. It was simple but touching. Stick figures in a big building with flowers around and a smiling sun in the sky. Tommy, would you like a hospital like that to exist? I'd love it, where no one would be sad and everyone would be friends. Grace, do you think it would be possible to create a place like that? I believe so, Ma'am. With the right resources and the right people. What kind of resources? Financial ones, of course, but mostly human resources. People who truly care about patients' well-being. And do you know people like that? I know several. Many healthcare professionals want to work in a more humanized way, but the system doesn't allow it. What doesn't the system allow? Time to talk to patients, freedom to suggest improvements, personalized care instead of rigid protocols. Jennifer was starting to see a possibility, a way to honor Ethan's memory while also righting past wrongs. Grace, would you go back to working in healthcare if you had the chance? I would, Ma'am. It's my calling. And if it were in a place where your ideas were valued? It would be a dream come true. And what about you, Tommy? Do you still want to be a doctor when you grow up? I sure do, Auntie. I want to take care of kids like Ethan. Jennifer stood up, brushing the dust off her clothes. An idea was forming in her mind. Grace, Tommy, would you like to have lunch with me? Ma'am, we don't want to impose, Grace replied hesitantly. It wouldn't be an imposition. It would be my pleasure. But our clothes, we're not dressed for a fancy restaurant. Then let's go somewhere simple. Do you know a good place in your neighborhood? We do, yes. There's a man near our place who makes the best seafood stew in Chicago. Perfect. Let's go. Tommy looked at his mother, clearly excited at the prospect. Can we go, Mom? If you're sure, Ma'am. I'm absolutely sure. But first I want to do something. Jennifer walked over to Ethan's headstone and touched the cold marble. Ethan, your friend Tommy found me, and your friend Grace taught me things I needed to learn. Thank you for choosing such special people to care for you when I didn't know how to do it right. She turned to Grace and Tommy. Ready? We are, Ma'am. Please call me Jennifer. I think we're past formalities now. On the way to the Bridgeport neighborhood, Jennifer drove her luxury car through the streets of Chicago while Grace and Tommy admired the interior. Did Ethan ride in this car? Tommy asked. Many times. He loved traveling, even if it was just to the mall. And did he sit back here? He did. He always asked me to open the sunroof so he could see the stars. Were there a lot of stars in Chicago? He said there were. I never stopped to look. Why not? Because I was always in a hurry, Tommy. always had somewhere to be. Grace watched Jennifer in the rearview mirror. It was strange to see this powerful woman interacting so naturally with her son. "Jennifer, can I ask you something personal?" "Of course, Grace. Have you ever thought about having other children?" Jennifer was silent for a moment. "I did, but I thought it would betray Ethan's memory, like I was trying to replace him. And now? Now I don't know what to think about a lot of things." They arrived in Bridgeport, a simple but lively area. Jennifer parked in front of a small, family-owned restaurant. "This is the place," Grace said. "Old Joe makes the best seafood stew in the whole neighborhood." Inside, a few people glanced curiously at the elegant woman with Grace and Tommy. But Old Joe, the owner, greeted them with his usual warmth. "Grace and Tommy, so good to see you. And who's your friend?" "This is Jennifer, Old Joe, a very special person." "Welcome, Jennifer. Sit, sit. I'll make you the best seafood stew in Chicago." As they waited for the food, Jennifer took in the surroundings. It was simple but cozy. The walls were decorated with old photos of Chicago, and a guitar sat in the corner. "Ethan would have liked this place," Jennifer said, almost to herself. "Why?" Tommy asked. "Because it's full of love. He could always tell when a place had love." "And your house, does it have love?" Tommy's innocent question caught Jennifer off guard. I think it does. But maybe I didn't know how to show it." "How do you show love in a house?" "By being with the people we love, talking, playing, walking. Things I didn't do enough." Grace gently touched Jennifer's arm. "You're being too hard on yourself. Ethan knew he was loved." "Are you sure?" "Absolutely. He talked about it all the time. Said his mom worked so much because she wanted to give him the best. But I never said it to him directly. Sometimes children understand things that don't need to be said." Old Joe brought the fish stew, served with cassava porridge and toasted cassava flour. The aroma filled the table, and Tommy smiled. "This is my favorite food," the boy said. "It was Ethan's favorite too," Jennifer replied, surprising herself. "He always ordered fish stew when we went out to eat." "Really?" Tommy's face lit up. "Another thing we have in common. During lunch, they talked about many things. Grace shared about her work at the cemetery, the challenges of raising Tommy alone, and the dreams she still held. Tommy talked about school, his friends, and the stories he made up at bedtime." "Tommy, what kind of stories do you tell?" Jennifer asked. "Stories about superhero doctors who save sick children, and about a kind queen who helps poor people." "Am I the kind queen?" "Yes. In my story, the queen discovers she can use her powers to make everyone happy. And what powers are those? The power to build magical hospitals where no one feels sad." Jennifer glanced at Grace, who smiled proudly at her son. "Grace, where do you think Tommy could study medicine when he grows up?" "Oh, Jennifer, that's so far away. First, he needs to finish grade school." "But have you thought about it?" "I think about it all the time. But medical school is expensive, and What if money wasn't an issue?" "What do you mean?" "What if Tommy had a full scholarship, from now all the way through college?" Grace was speechless. Tommy looked confused. "What's a scholarship?" the boy asked. "It's when someone pays for your education so you can achieve your dreams," Jennifer explained. "And who would do that? Someone who believes in you. Someone who wants to honor the memory of a very special friend." Grace began to understand what Jennifer was suggesting. "Jennifer, I can't accept something like that. It's too generous, but..." "Why not?" "Because it would feel like charity, and I want Tommy to learn to earn things through his own effort." "What if it wasn't charity? What if it was an investment?" "What kind of investment?" "What if I told you I'm thinking of starting a foundation in Ethan's memory, one focused on humanizing medical care?" "That would be wonderful, but what if I said I need qualified people to work in this foundation, people who understand compassionate care?" "Are you offering me a job?" "I'm offering a partnership, Grace. You have the hands-on experience, I have the resources. Together, we can create something that honors Ethan's memory and helps other families." Grace's eyes welled up. "Are you serious?" "Completely serious." "But only if you want to. It's not a favor, it's a real need." "What about Tommy? Tommy would be the first beneficiary of the Foundation's scholarship program, but he'd have to study hard and stay committed. "I'll study so hard," Tommy said excitedly. "I'll be the best doctor in the world." "You don't have to be the best in the world," Jennifer said, smiling. "You just have to be like Ethan, generous, brave, and full of love to give." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us as we're just starting out. Now continuing. After lunch, Jennifer asked to see the house where Grace and Tommy lived. It was a modest home, but impeccably clean and tidy. "Can I see Tommy's room?" Jennifer asked. The room was small, with a single bed, a simple wardrobe, and a makeshift study desk. But what caught Jennifer's attention were the drawings covering the walls. "Are all these drawings for Ethan?" she asked. "Yes," Tommy replied. "I make a new one every week." Jennifer looked carefully at the drawings. There was progress in the strokes, creativity in the stories, dedication in every detail. "Tommy, besides being a doctor, would you also like to be an artist?" "I would, but Mommy said it's hard to make money as an artist." "What if you could be both? A doctor and an artist?" "You can be a doctor and an artist at the same time." "Of course. You could use art to help sick children feel better." Tommy's eyes lit up. "How?" "You could draw for them, teach them to draw, use pictures to explain treatments in a less scary way." "That would be amazing." "Grace, would you mind if I hired private tutors for Tommy to help him prepare better for the future?" "Jennifer, you're already offering too much." "I'm not offering, I'm investing. In the future of medicine, the future of art, the future of a boy who could change so many children's lives." "But what if he decides he doesn't want to be a doctor?" "Then he'll be whatever he wants to be. What matters is that he has opportunities to choose." Grace hugged her son, moved. "What do you think, Tommy? Do you want to study hard so you can help other kids?" "I do, Mom, and I'll draw for Ethan every week, telling him what I've learned." Jennifer smiled. This was it. This was how she could honor her son's memory. "Grace, I need to confess something." "Go ahead." "When I arrived at Oak Hill Cemetery today, I was thinking of giving up." "Giving up on what?" "Everything. Business, life, dreams. I thought nothing made sense without Ethan." "And now?" "Now I see Ethan left a legacy. He taught you about kindness, love, hope, and you're teaching it to me." "What do you mean?" "I mean, I'm going to change my company. Instead of just making money, we'll use that money to do good. We'll create the Ethan Blackwell Foundation for Medical Humanization." "And you really want me to work at this foundation?" "I want you to be the program director. You know the real needs of patients and families." "I've never run anything, Jennifer. And I've never truly cared about what I was running. We'll learn together." "What if I'm not good enough?" "Grace, you took care of my son when I didn't know how. You raised an amazing boy despite all the hardships. You have all the qualifications that matter." "Which are?" "Love, dedication, empathy, and the courage to speak up when something isn't right," Grace cried, finally letting all her emotions surface. "Why are you doing this for us?" "Because you've done so much more for me. You gave me back my son." "What do you mean?" "Today I heard stories about Ethan I never knew. I saw him through your eyes. I realized he was even more special than I imagined." He really was. "And now I'll spend the rest of my life trying to be the mother he deserved. Even if it's too late for him, it's not too late for other children." Tommy stepped closer to Jennifer. "Aunt Jennifer, can I give you a hug?" "Of course, sweetheart." The boy's hug was the most genuine Jennifer had felt in years. It was as if a part of Ethan was there in that moment. "Tommy, would you like to visit me sometimes?" "I'd love to. Can we draw together?" "We can, and you can teach me how to make kites." "Really? You don't know how to make kites?" "I don't. Ethan always asked me to teach him, but I kept saying I would later." "I can teach you. I'm really good at making kites." "Then we have a deal. You teach me to make kites, and I'll help you make your dreams come true." "Deal." They shook hands, sealing the agreement with the seriousness of a child and the emotion of a woman rediscovering the meaning of life. In the following days, Jennifer began putting her plans into action. First, she spoke with her lawyers about setting up the foundation. Then, she reached out to medical professionals familiar with hospital humanization efforts. Grace was called in for several meetings, initially intimidated by the corporate environment, but gradually gaining confidence. Her ideas were listened to with attention and respect. "Grace, what would be the Foundation's first project?" Jennifer asked during one of the meetings. "I'd like to create an emotional support program for hospitalized children with trained professionals, but also with artistic and recreational activities." "Explain further." "Often children are hospitalized for weeks or months. They lose touch with normal life, playtime, creativity. Medical treatment takes care of the body but forgets the soul. And how would we solve that? By hiring art therapists, musicians, professional clowns, art teachers, creating playful spaces inside hospitals. And does that really help with treatment? It helps a lot. Happy children respond better to treatments. Less stressed families cooperate more with doctors. Are you sure about that?" "I am. I saw with my own eyes the difference it made when Ethan was cheerful versus when he was sad." Jennifer began to see Grace's practical wisdom, a perspective no business course had ever taught. "And where would we implement this program first?" "At Mercy Medical Center, where it all began." "Would you feel comfortable going back there?" "I'd feel honored. It would be a way to show that constructive questions can lead to positive change." "And Tommy, how is he adjusting to private tutoring?" "He loves it. The math teacher said he has an impressive knack for calculations, and the art teacher was amazed by his drawings." "Does he still talk about becoming a doctor?" "He does. But now he also talks about being a doctor artist, says he'll heal people with medicine and drawings." Jennifer smiled. Tommy's creativity was being nurtured without losing sight of his main goal. "Grace, may I ask how you're feeling with all these changes?" "Scared and excited at the same time. Sometimes I can't believe this is happening." "Why scared?" "Because it's a lot of responsibility. If the Foundation fails, I'll feel guilty. And if it succeeds? If it succeeds, it'll be the fulfillment of a dream I didn't even know I had." "What dream?" "The dream of truly making a difference in people's lives. Not just caring for one child at a time, but creating a system that cares for many." "Was that always your dream?" "I think so, but I never had the courage to admit it. It seemed too big for someone like me." "And now?" "Now I realize it's not too big if we're not doing it alone." A few weeks later, Jennifer arranged a visit to Mercy Medical Center. It was the first time she'd been back since Ethan had passed. "Are you sure you're ready for this?" Grace asked. "I'm not sure of anything, but I know I need to do it." They walked through the hospital halls, now seeing them in a completely different light. Jennifer noticed every detail: the impersonal decor, the cold lighting, the lack of welcoming spaces for families. "Was it like this when Ethan was here?" she asked. "It was worse. At least now there are some plants in the hallways. And where was he hospitalized?" "On the 5th floor. Do you want to go up?" "I do." On the 5th floor, they ran into Dr. Richard Thompson, the same man who had fired Grace. He was surprised to see Jennifer accompanied by her former employee. "Mrs. Blackwell, what a surprise to see you here. And Grace, isn't it?" "Yes, Dr. Richard. How are you?" "Well, well. But what brings you two here?" "We're exploring possibilities for a hospital humanization project," Jennifer explained. "How interesting. And Grace is consulting on this?" "Grace is the program director of the Ethan Blackwell Foundation, which we just established." Dr. Richard seemed confused. "Director? But she was a nursing assistant. And now she's the director of a foundation that will invest millions in hospital improvements," Jennifer said firmly. "I see. Well, we're available to discuss potential partnerships." "Great. Grace will reach out to schedule an official meeting." Once Dr. Richard walked away, Grace turned to Jennifer. "You made sure to emphasize my new position." "I did. I want him to understand that questioning procedures isn't insubordination. It's progress. Thank you for that." "Don't thank me. It's the least I can do." They visited the room where Ethan had stayed. It was occupied by another child, a boy around 6 years old, drawing on a sheet of paper. "Can I see your drawing?" Grace asked. always natural with children. Sure, it's a robot fighting evil germs. That's so cool. Do you like to draw? Yeah, my mum said drawing helps pass the time. Jennifer watched the scene. Here was a child doing exactly what Tommy used to do, using art to cope with a difficult situation. What's your name? Jennifer asked. Gabriel. Gabriel, would you like to have drawing classes here at the hospital? I'd love that. That'd be so cool. What if other kids could draw with you? Even better, we could make giant drawings. Jennifer and Grace exchanged glances. This was confirmation that their ideas made sense. Gabriel, very soon there'll be lots of new things here at the hospital. Art classes, music, games. Really? When? Very soon, Grace promised. As they left the hospital, Jennifer was determined. Grace, we need to speed up the Foundation's plans. Those children need help now. How long do you think it'll take to implement the first program? If it's up to me, 3 months. 3 months? Isn't that too fast? Grace, it's been 10 years since I lost Ethan. I don't want another day to go by without making a difference in other children's lives. You're right. Let's move forward. That evening, Jennifer had dinner at Grace and Tommy's house. It was the first time in years she'd eaten a home-cooked meal made with care. Aunt Jennifer, can I show you something? Tommy asked after dinner. Of course, sweetheart. Tommy brought out a shoebox and carefully opened it. Inside were dozens of drawings, all related to hospitals and doctors. These are my dream drawings. Dream drawings. They're drawings of what I imagine it'll be like when I'm a doctor. Jennifer examined each one. There were colorful hospitals, smiling doctors, children playing, families embracing. Tommy, these drawings are wonderful. Can I ask you a favor? Sure. Can you make drawings of what you'd like the Ethan Blackwell Foundation to be like? I can. I'll make the prettiest one ever, and I'll use your drawings to explain our projects to others. Really? My drawings will help sick kids. They will. Art is a very powerful way to communicate. Tommy hugged Jennifer with all his strength. Thank you for letting me help. Thank you for teaching me so many important things. Grace watched the interaction between Jennifer and her son with emotion. It was as if two pieces that were always meant to fit had finally come together. Jennifer, can I ask you a personal question? Always. Do you think Ethan would be proud of what we're doing? Jennifer thought for a moment. You know, Grace, I think he'd be surprised. Surprised to see that her mother had finally learned to listen, to care, to put love above business. Is that good or bad? It's wonderful. It means I can still grow, I can still change, I can still be better. And Tommy? Do you think Ethan would have liked him? I'm sure they'd have been the best of friends. They share the same kindness, the same generosity, the same ability to dream big. Sometimes I think Tommy has a little bit of Ethan in him. Maybe he does. Or maybe kindness is contagious and Ethan passed it on to all of you. And now you're infected too? I hope so. I hope I'm learning to be the person Ethan always believed I could be. The following months were filled with intense work. The Ethan Blackwell Foundation was officially established, with Grace as program director and a multidisciplinary team of professionals. The first project was implemented at Mercy Medical Center, an art therapy program for hospitalized children. Tommy, though still very young, became something of a mascot for the program, visiting the children and teaching them drawing techniques. How are the patients responding? Jennifer asked during an evaluation meeting. Beyond expectations, Grace replied. The children are more cheerful, more cooperative. Parents report improvements in their kids' moods. And the doctors? They were hesitant at first, but now many are asking to expand the program. Why? Because they're seeing real results. Children who used to cry during procedures are now more cooperative. Less stressed families make the medical team's job easier. And Dr. Richard? He's become one of the program's biggest advocates. He's pushing to implement it in other hospitals in the network. Jennifer smiled. It was rewarding to see tangible changes taking place. Grace, do you think we're on the right track? I'm certain of it. Every week we get letters from families thanking us. Every week we see children smiling in places where there was once only sadness. And Tommy? How's he handling all this attention? He loves it, says he's training to be a doctor already, and his drawings keep getting better. Does he still draw for Ethan? He does. Now he makes drawings about the children he meets at the hospital, about the improvements we're making. And you, how are you feeling? Fulfilled, Jennifer. For the first time in my life, I feel like I'm doing exactly what I meant to do. Even with all the pressure of responsibility? The responsibility is great, but it's not a burden. It's a privilege. Why? Because I know every child we help is a way to honor Ethan, and that gives me the strength to keep going. 6 months after the foundation's creation, they organized their first fundraising event. It was a garden party at Jennifer's home, attended by business leaders, doctors, and families who had benefited from the programs. Nervous? Jennifer asked Grace before the event began. A little. I've never spoken to so many important people. Remember, you're not speaking to important people. You're speaking to people who can help others. That's different. How so? When you focus on what matters, helping the children, everything becomes easier. Thanks for the advice. And remember, Tommy will be in the audience. Show him how to speak with courage and conviction. During the event, Grace gave a moving presentation about the Foundation's early achievements. She spoke naturally, showing photos of smiling children, sharing stories of progress, and outlining future plans. Who is that woman? A business leader asked Jennifer. She speaks with such passion about the work. That's Grace Wilson, our program director. And yes, she's passionate about what she does because she's lived through the very needs we're trying to address. Does she have management experience? She has something better, experience in caring for people. And is that enough? It's been more than enough. Our results speak for themselves. By the end of the evening, they had raised enough funds to expand the program to 3 new hospitals. Grace, you were wonderful, said Jennifer. Thank you. I felt like I was speaking about something I truly believe in. And you were. That's what makes all the difference. Tommy ran up excited. Mom, you were amazing. Everyone clapped so much. Thank you, sweetheart. Did you enjoy the party? I loved it. I met lots of kids who draw at the hospital. They showed me their artwork. Was it beautiful? It was gorgeous. And you know what else? They said drawing helps them not feel scared. Jennifer was moved by his words. Tommy, do you understand what that means? It means our work is helping. Exactly. It means we're making a difference. And Ethan? Do you think he knows we're helping other kids? Jennifer looked up at the starry sky. I'm sure he knows, and I'm sure he's proud of both of you. A year after their meeting at the cemetery, the 3 returned to Ethan's grave. But now it was a visit of celebration, not sorrow. Ethan, Jennifer said, touching the headstone, I came to share some news. The foundation we created in your memory has already helped over 500 children. Grace has become a respected and admired director. Tommy is studying hard and still dreams of becoming a doctor. Tommy placed a new drawing on the grave. It showed a hospital full of color, with children playing and doctors smiling. This is the dream hospital, Ethan. And you know what? It's not just a dream anymore. We're really building it. Grace knelt beside the headstone. Ethan, thank you for choosing such special people to share your life with. Through you, I learned that family isn't just about blood. It's about sharing the same dreams. Grace is right, said Jennifer. You're my family now. The family Ethan built for me. And you're our family too, Grace replied. The mother Tommy always dreamed of having. And the grandma Ethan always wanted me to have, Tommy added, making everyone laugh. Grandma? Jennifer asked, surprised. Yeah, you take care of us like a grandma, and you teach me important things, like a grandma does. Jennifer hugged Tommy, touched. Then that's what I am. The grandma Ethan chose for you. And I'm the grandson Ethan chose for you, Tommy answered. They stayed there a while longer, talking about future plans. Grace shared her idea for a training center for healthcare professionals interested in humanization. Tommy talked about the sketchbook he was creating for hospitalized children. Jennifer revealed her decision to donate a significant part of her fortune to expand the foundation's programs. Do you know the most important thing I've learned this year? Jennifer asked. What? The other 2 wanted to know. I've learned that love doesn't shrink when it's shared, it multiplies. The more love we give, the more we have to give. And how did you learn that? Grace asked. By watching you, seeing how Grace loves Tommy and still had love to give Ethan, seeing how Tommy loves his mother and still had love to give a friend he never even met in person. And you? Have you learned to love more? I've learned to love better. I've learned that loving isn't just about providing and protecting. It's about being present, listening, sharing dreams. And do you think you're succeeding? I'm trying. Every day, I try to be a little better than I was the day before. And are you succeeding? Ask Tommy. He's the one who can say if I'm being a good adoptive grandmother. Tommy thought seriously before answering. You're being the best grandma in the world. You play with me, listen to my stories, teach me important things, and even let me teach you things too. What things have you taught me? I taught you how to make kites, how to draw, how to eat popcorn while watching movies, how to laugh at silly jokes. And are those things important? They're the most important of all. They're the things that make life happy. Jennifer hugged Tommy again. Thank you for teaching me how to be happy, my dear grandson. Thank you for teaching me how to dream big, Grandma Jennifer. Grace watched the scene with tears in her eyes. What's wrong, Grace? Jennifer asked. It's just seeing you two like this. I'm sure Ethan is happy wherever he is. Why? Because he got what he wanted most, bringing together people who love each other. How do you know that's what he wanted most? Because he always talked about it, about how wonderful it would be if all the important people in his life could meet and care for each other. And he succeeded, even though he's no longer here. He sure did. He brought together a lonely mother, a hard-working caretaker, and a dreamy little boy. And now we're a family. An unconventional family, Jennifer said, smiling. The best families always are, Grace replied. As they prepared to leave, Tommy had an idea. Can I suggest something? Of course, sweetheart. How about we come back here every month? Not just to visit Ethan, but to tell him about the kids we're helping. I love that idea, Jennifer said. We can make this our official family meeting spot. And can I always bring a new drawing? Tommy asked. Absolutely, and I'll always bring a new update about the Foundation's progress, Grace promised. And I'll always bring gratitude in my heart for having found you both, Jennifer added. They walked together toward the exit of Oak Hill Cemetery. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and pink. You know what? Tommy said, looking at the sky. I think Ethan is watching us right now. Why do you think that? Jennifer asked. Because the sky is the colors he loved most, orange and pink. Mom said those were his favorite colors. Jennifer looked at the sky and smiled. So he's giving us a colorful goodbye. Yeah, a happy goodbye, Tommy agreed. A goodbye that means see you next month, Grace added. They got into Jennifer's car, all three together in the front seat, an improvised family that had become more real than many traditional ones. Where are we going now? Jennifer asked. Home to make kites, Tommy replied excitedly. Whose home? Our home, Tommy said naturally. The place where we're together. Jennifer and Grace smiled. It was true. It didn't matter if it was Jennifer's mansion, Grace's little house, or anywhere else. Home was where they were together. Then let's go home and make kites, Jennifer agreed, and then we'll have dinner and plan how we can help even more kids. And then we'll watch a movie and eat popcorn, Tommy added. And then we'll say goodnight to each other with lots of love, Grace finished. Like a real family does, Jennifer concluded. As they drove through the streets of Chicago, the three talked about their plans for the next day, the next week, the next year. There was so much to do, so many children to help, so many dreams to fulfill. But for the first time in a long while, Jennifer didn't feel in a hurry. She had learned that the most important moments in life weren't the ones filled with appointments and goals, but those filled with love and presence. Thank you, she said, addressing both Grace and Tommy. Thank you for what? They asked almost in unison. For teaching me it's never too late to start over, for showing me that family is who we choose to love, for giving me back the ability to dream of a better world. Thank you, Grace replied, for giving us the chance to make a difference, for believing in us when even we didn't believe in ourselves. And thank you for letting me have two mums, Tommy added. One who brought me into this world with love, and one who took me into her heart. Two mums and a son of the heart, said Jennifer, and a guardian angel named Ethan who made sure we found each other. Ethan will always watch over us, Tommy declared with the certainty only children possess. Always, the two women agreed. And so, driving into the sunset over Chicago, a billionaire who had learned to value what truly matters, a custodian who had become the director of her own dreams, and a boy who carried enough hope to light up an entire hospital moved forward together toward the future, knowing that some families are bound not by blood, but by the love we choose to nurture. The end of the story. Now tell me, what did you think of this touching story? Did Grace make the right choice by holding on to Ethan's memory? And Jennifer, did she truly redeem herself as a mother through her new family? Share your honest thoughts in the comments. I love reading what you think about these transformations. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more heartwarming stories like this one.